Lighthouse family here on the morning drive. It is me, Lavinia, with Jill and Matt Nixon, our financial expert for our financial literacy one-on-one. A very, very, very good morning to you, Matt.
I'm Lavinia. How are you? Good to be here as normal.
You know what? I'm very interested in today's episode. Oh, goodness. I see that smile on your face. I think this is something that a lot of people can definitely resonate with. For episode 7 today, it's couples therapy, how to navigate finances as a couple in today's world. Where do we begin with this?
Well, I think we should do a little pop quiz this morning.
Okay.
Just to kind of set the mood, and then we can launch into the topic, because it's a very heavy topic.
Yes, it is.
It's, trying to kind of balance it with the financial part of it, but also with how we've been married for some time, so maybe some tips that we can use in our relationships.
There's a lot of emotions.
There's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. So question number 1.
Okay.
So this is around credit risk. So I'll give you a multiple choice question. If one partner in a Singapore joint bank account is sued by creditors, how much of the money in the joint account can legally be seized? Is it A, only 50%, B, only the portion contributed by the partner being sued, C, up to 100% of the account balance, or D, none, joints are protected?
I'm going to go with my hope, D, none.
Because
joint accounts are protected.
Our joint. Actually, the correct answer is C, up to 100% of the account balance.
No.
So this is where you really need to know intimately the details of the person that you are either being married to, going into business with, because you need to know if one partner runs a business, has debts, is being sued, is a guarantor for something.
Wow.
Because that's what can happen if there's any legal problems that happen. You need to be able to know.
Most people don't think that. Think about that one crucial thing. Carry on with the pop quiz.
Okay.
Oh, I'm shaking.
Yeah. Number 2, when one holder of a joint bank account in Singapore passes away, what happens to the funds? A, they always transfer immediately to the surviving partner.
Okay.
B, they are frozen for 3 months by law. C, the bank may freeze the account temporarily if ownership is unclear. Or D, the funds automatically go to the deceased's estate.
I'm going to go with B. They freeze it for 3 months.
The actual answer is C. The bank may freeze the account temporarily if ownership is unclear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is where people need to understand that this is not guaranteed, that banks need to for a protocol for legal disputes. So 2 things you really need to know is to clarify the ownership of the account when it started from scratch.
Okay.
So the right of survivorship, that's when funds pass automatically to the survivor account holder. And then there's another one where tenancy in common, where each person owns a fixed share and the deceased portions goes to their estate.
Wow.
So I also kind of want to highlight too, especially with those with elderly parents, avoid having joint full accounts. They should instead grant you the lasting power of attorney, LPA.
Okay.
And that's if they lose mental capacity, then you can take over the account as a child or caretaker.
Okay, very quickly, I do know you have one more question. We're just going to ask the question. I'm going to answer it, but we're going to take, breaking down the question onto our Facebook Live, and we want you to come and join us. So what is the question 3?
Okay, question number 3. This is in a typical joint alternate, and I'll talk about terminologies as we go through.
Yep.
So in a typical joint alternate bank account in Singapore, how much can each partner withdraw without notifying the other? A, up to $5,000.
Okay.
B, up to 50% of the balance. C, only small pre-approved amounts. Or D, the entire account balance.
Sadly, I'm going to go with D. From the previous, my answers from the learning from the previous questions, it's D.
It's D, right?
That is really
so
shocking.
Even though it's called an alternate account, each authorized holder can access the full balance independently. So you really need to have full trust in your partner if you go this route, because if anything happens, it could all be taken.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty. So we're really going to dive deeper into understanding, when it comes to your finances as a couple. Come and join us on our Facebook Live right now. Hey everyone, alrighty, so you can see the question that is going to appear on our Facebook Live. Answer it and you might just win for yourself $150 worth of dining vouchers from Craig House. Okay, so this episode is all about couple therapy, how to navigate finances as a couple in today's world. You know, your pop quiz there already highlighted a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I did not know that. And I think it really is the underlying theme of what you're discussing today. There are a lot of things as a couple we do take for granted.
Yes,
we think that there is enough trust. We don't even question. I got a lot of questions now.
I know.
So the first question is, what is the normal practice in Singapore on joint accounts and how does it vary in other countries?
So before I ask you a really quick question,
Sure.
Just to kind of really take this into the account, the couple's angle is that there was a recent survey done in December 2024 where over 70% of Singaporeans were experiencing financial challenges based on budgeting disagreements,
Okay.
different spending habits,
Okay.
debt management, financial goals not aligned,
Right.
and difficult saving.
Sure.
And then 20% of those couples actually felt uncomfortable discussing financial matters.
Wow.
So if you were to kind of take that into consideration, where do you think, now this is just some old stats, so it might have been updated, but as
Right.
of 2016, guess a portion of about what amount of couples had joint accounts with their partners?
Wow. In 2016.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
probably, it's changed a bit now, but the last statistics,
I think it might actually be a lot higher because
Okay.
I feel like the mentality then was that
Yeah.
it was a sign of your trust, right?
Trust,
So
yeah.
you'd set up a joint account. I think it would be a high 80%.
actually back in 2016 survey, it was 51%
Oh,
only.
okay.
And that is actually a lot lower than some of the other countries out there. So
Really?
the United States, about 77% of married couples
Okay.
held at least one
Okay.
joint account. Australia, 78 couples. UK, 61 couples. Canada, 63. So what this is showing is that there is a really conservative mentality, I believe, in Singapore. And as a financial planner advisor, I would actually say that this really kind of makes me feel that the partners are kind of doing their financial planning on their own.
Okay.
And that leads to, how are we talking about debt and savings and investments?
Yep.
So this is a bit concerning that if the stats are this low for joint bank accounts and
Sure.
you're doing it on your own, you really need to bring your partner or spouse into the conversation, start having these conversations more often and talking about money more regularly.
Okay, that is very interesting. And wow, I just learned about this because from your pop quiz, I thought there was only like joint account is just joint account. But there are differences, right? There's joint all and joint
Yes.
alternative. What is the
Yes.
difference?
So joint alternative is or either to sign. That means one account can operate independently. And this is really set up for couples who really have a lot of high level of trust because as I just mentioned in the quiz, that person can withdraw all the money from that
Yeah.
account. So you really have to do this. So the joint all, but both to sign, this is really where all account holders must agree and provide their signatures for any transactions to be valid. So this is more common around business partners.
Sure.
Or where there's situations where you need to have that shared control access. And then there's a third option that really isn't talked about out there, which is third-party mandates.
Oh.
This is when you and your partner formally authorize someone else to operate the account. So think around having control with elderly parents,
Okay.
people with disabilities,
Sure.
domestic helpers managing expenses, or financial caregivers is an option. So
Okay.
it's not really advertised much, but that is another option that you can kind of use. So
So you're saying that third party
Yeah.
is given access to account. Is there a limit to how much they can access?
you can
or-
control it, but at the same time, the money does not belong to that third party mandate. So they're using it as more of an operational account.
Okay.
They're not
okay.
allowed to sit there and take those funds out. They're not allowed to, take everything. So they can be followed up on if they were to, or any criminal activity. But it's really used as more of an administrative tool to look after those in the account. Like I said, elderly parents who,
Sure.
might need some help later on. So if they don't have the lasting power of attorney, a third-party mandate could actually be a way to help the parents or the children help the parents in the older age or someone with disabilities as well.
That's very interesting. I really did not know that. I just thought it's just joint account and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
My goodness. Okay, so now here comes the next one, which is saver versus spender. Yes. What are some bridge the gap sort of strategies for couples? You know, when you have different money mindsets and personalities, you know, to compromise and to work together without building resentment. I think that's the key thing in today's topic. It's a lot of emotions involved, huh?
There is. And I think when couples fight about money itself, it's because more of differences in values, communication styles, and kind of unspoken expectations. So when we talked about couples not having enough conversations with each other, this really 12-step strategy gives you ideas. And I put together a little a 12, to give 12 steps, and this is savers versus spenders.
Right.
So I will try to go through this as quickly as possible, but
Sure.
I really want to hint on some of these because these are some good tips that you can actually start using in your life starting today.
Really?
If money problems are an issue with your spouse or your partner. So number one, let's get into it. Align on shared goals. So this, we need to actually shift the conversation, and with the stop using "why do you spend so much?" Stop being so stingy. This is where we're building together. So the outcome for the shared goals is the saver feels structure.
Okay.
The spender feels freedom within a plan. Okay, so that's always good.
Okay.
Now, this is more practical. Is actually use a hybrid banking system. So this
What's
prevents
that?
the micromanagement and reduces resentment.
Okay.
So get a joint account between the two of you for house bills, groceries, kids' expenses, shared goals.
Okay.
Then have your individual accounts for your personal fun, your hobbies, and your self-care. So the saver doesn't feel that the spender is draining the shared funds.
Right.
And the spender doesn't feel controlled or judged. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And the next one.
Number 3, agree on a guilt-free spending allowance.
That's actually really good.
So this one is a no questions asked. This will stop any arguments like, why did you spend on that again? Why is this too expensive? So this protects the spender's joy and the saver's sanity.
Will this allowance be, do you recommend don't put in the joint account, put in your own personal thing?
Yes, use it in your own personal.
Even if this is money that's earned completely by that individual?
I think that's an agreement you probably need to have and set those rules at the beginning so that it doesn't give. But if you say, okay, you're going to spend $500 a month on spa treatments.
Wow.
And I'm going to say I'm going to spend $500 on going to the pub with my friends to watch soccer and have, my time on the weekends.
Sure.
That's kind of agreed in the budget. So that one could be probably in the joint account because it shouldn't. And then if you don't use that full spa treatment or night out with the lads, you can actually sit there and save that into your money savings. So that could be a way forward too.
So the real point is that wherever that allowance may exist in your own personal account or even in the joint account, there must be clear communication.
Communications.
Of what is being what is being spent on. How can it be monitored and all that. Interesting.
0 questions asked.
0 questions. Wow. Carrying on.
Okay, number 4.
We'll do one more.
Yeah, we'll build an emergency fund together so the saver gains the peace of mind, where the spenders gain, safety and confidence. So this is really good for, getting your 3 to 6 month target. We've talked about this in other episodes. Emergency fund is very critical. So the spenders feel less afraid of restrictions, where the savers feel less anxious about unexpected costs.
Okay, so build on emergency fund together.
Emergency fund together,
okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we are going to head back onto our on-air in just a bit. So I want to encourage all those who are tuning in for our Facebook Live, going on to the question, which is, I'll give it to you quite simply. Answer this question: are you a spender or a saver in the relationship? This is what the 12-step strategy is breaking down here. But we want to know, who are you in your relationship, the spender or the saver? And you might just win those dining vouchers from Crack House. Let's all go back on air as we talk more about this 12-step strategy. Slim Shady, Eminem right here on the Morning Drive, and we're in the midst of our episode 7, Couples Therapy, How to Navigate Finances as a Couple in Today's World, with Matt Nixon, our financial expert for our Financial Literacy 1-on-1. He just pointed out the 12-step strategy for all couples. It is really, really fascinating. We've gone through 4 of them, so I just want to take you through it very quickly. 1, align on shared goals. 2, use a hybrid banking system. This could be a combination of a joint account, and as we now know, there are various types of joint accounts, and also having personal accounts. And number 3 was I did not get that down.
Guilt-free spending allowance.
Guilt-free spending allowance, yes. So this one is whereby you guys agree upon whether the allowance sits in your joint account or your personal account. Is the idea that it's no questions asked. You're allowed that allowance to spend it however you see fit.
Yep.
And it must be agreed upon. And also the fourth one was build an emergency fund together. Okay, we carry on with the other 12 steps. Number 5 would be?
So this one's fun. This is scheduling a monthly date night. So this is really to have a time where it's calm, structured, and you got to create rules so you're not starting with a fight. So rules are no blaming. Don't start with sentences like you always. Keep it factual, keep it calm, and you need to celebrate wins so that everyone is happy.
Right. So this is sort of like, how often do you think one should do this? Like monthly only?
Monthly. Maybe
not longer than that. It shouldn't be like 2 months.
Maybe 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe.
And this is really just to keep tabs on where you are with your shared goals, which you discussed is like the number 1 in this 12-step strategy, right?
Yeah. So like maybe when a big expense is coming up, so you've got a big holiday, you're really setting aside a time. So let's say you're going to go and do a European trip, and you're saying we really need to make sure we're not going to blow our budget.
Right.
Or you sit there maybe mid-year, are we tracking our goals for savings? I think that's what the money dates are really for.
And I think it's really great because nobody does that. Nobody does that. And this is really when you schedule it in, you are, forced to kind of address it. Right. And I think then you start to have those conversations, and hopefully it becomes easier for you and your partner because money is never an easy topic.
No,
right?
It's not.
Yeah. What's number 6?
Number 6 is just a real practical one. So use technology to make money conversations less personal.
Oh.
So this helps reduce friction. This keeps the discussion objective. The app show the truth, not the spouse. Okay. This one number 7, we're talking more about identifying the root personality behind the money habit.
Okay.
So we really need to take the emotional, the origins of it and not the numbers.
Yes.
So savers usually fear losing control, being unprepared, running out of money, not protecting the family, where spenders are more of missing out on life, feeling restricted, being judged for their desires of how to spend money.
Right,
and this is an interesting one, is sometimes reliving a childhood of strict financial rules.
Okay.
So if each partner feels understood, then it becomes more flexible.
So it's really about, I would say it's important to, understand your own money personality, but not to, and that of your spouses or your partner, but it's not using it to kind of like as a one-up against them. You're not going to use it against them, right? Correct. You're trying to like work around it and work with that sort of money personality. That is really interesting. So we're going to jump back onto our Facebook Live, because remember, this is a 12-step strategy that really has so many good tips. And as Matt has pointed out, you can actually start implementing them today. So come and join us on our Facebook Live.
FD and Lavinia on the morning.
Okay, so for those of you who are here on our Facebook Live, we went through another 3 of the 12-step strategy on air. So it started with number 5, a fun thing to do, and I think it really does make the conversations happen when it comes to money. A monthly money date. This is where you all sit down, you talk about the shared goals, which is step 1 in the whole strategy, and also looking forward. I like how, you might have that big trip that's coming up. It gives you a chance to really sit down and talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then also number 6. Number 6 and 7, I think it has a really great function of removing as much of the emotions that might be involved when you talk money, right? Because
Correct.
that always will come in. And that's why money is a very difficult thing to
Yes.
address for anyone, right? Especially in a couple situation. So number 6 is use technology, right? So it kind of takes the heat off each other. Use tech to sort of, again, explain.
It's just the math. The math can't lie,
math.
right? So
Yep.
you know exactly, the partner can't sit there and say, like, oh, I didn't do this. It's right there on your Excel spreadsheet, in your calculator, in your planner. So it kind of takes away that, hey, this is the facts. You can't really deny. You
Right.
can't really deny it, right?
Right. And also number 7 is understanding each other's money personalities, not to use it against the other person, but really to understand how you can better work together, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
we're moving on to 4 more steps to this 12-step strategy. And number 8 would be?
So use the 3-bucket framework. So what's the 3-bucket framework? This is your must-haves. So this is really, you're talking about your bills, your mortgage, your tuition, your insurance, your should-haves, investing, retirement, education, savings, and your nice-to-haves, your dining
Oh.
out, your travel. So the outcome here is the spenders get the transparency and the savers get the structure.
Okay. So it's kind of win-win for both.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is really understanding, knowing the facts. All
Good,
right, so
yeah.
number 9 would be?
This one's a good one for create rules for big purchases. So this is knowing the threshold of the amount.
Okay.
So if you want to go and the ladies want to buy a new handbag, the gentlemen want to buy a new watch.
Sure.
There's a threshold amount.
Okay.
You also set a waiting period of 24 hours to 72 hours before you make that purchase.
Oh, that's a good one.
And within this rules of creating for big purchases, agree to have agreement that you can compare to 2 to 3 options. You know, what's going to be that's going to blow the bank, one's going to be more subdued.
Okay.
You know, or if you say it's appliance, where can you go and kind of look around to find that kind of purchase? So it takes some time that you guys can discuss these as a couple, so that you guys have some frame sets, that you're just not going out there and just being, instinctive and just buying something out of the blue.
Oh,
Yeah.
impulsive, right? And I can see
yes.
how I see that as we go into the steps of these 12 strategies, you're actually pointing out how each strategy, how it benefits the 2 personality
Correct.
types, whether you're a spender or whether you're a saver. Like
Yes.
what you just said about the rules for big purchases, I think for savers, they really want to know that it's not rushed into, right? This
Exactly.
decision, because it is a very big
Yeah.
purchase, right? And then for the spender, they know, like, okay, it's about being responsible with it, and it will happen, but you just need to make sure that all these things are fulfilled, which I think are very fair
Yeah.
rules. Okay, interesting.
This is trying to reduce the power struggles between the spender versus the saver. So this is where it really kind of gets into the nitty gritty of where you can use and you see your own challenges with your partner or spouse
Right.
to kind
Right.
of use these as a way to gauge it and have that open dialogue.
Actually, that's a really good point. In the discussion of money, there is that element of power. It is
Yes.
a bit of a power
It
struggle.
is very powerful, yeah.
Okay. So that is number 9. What about number 10?
Start to know each other's money triggers. So for the saver, you know it's going to annoy them. The last minute big buys, the debt, the unplanned spending. For the spenders, it's
Right.
being criticized, feeling controlled,
Sure.
and feeling deprived. So when you know what pushes the other ones, their triggers, it avoids setting them off. But you can also grow together, and this will help kind of build trust and respect between the couple.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I think that's really important to address. And so we've got 2 more strategies. What about number 11?
So this is kind of where now you know the triggers. Now you're actually celebrating each other's personalities and what they bring to the table. So savers contribute stability,
Okay.
long-term planning, protection.
Okay.
Where the spenders contribute, enjoyment, experiences, generosity.
Yeah.
So together, this really creates a balance of life instead of being at each other's throats. So
Sure.
you're appreciating one each other as a couple
Sure.
and your strengths. I think that's very important.
Do you think that if you are, like, say there's a couple type where both of them are the same, wow. I guess if you're saver and a saver, that's okay.
That's okay.
But what if it's a spender and a spender? Then
Ooh, that's that's where it gets trouble. That's where the credit
Right.
cards start racking up. So
Oh my goodness.
so maybe you can, if you're both spenders, this is where you really still have those money dates and see where you're spending majority of your money,
Right.
and where you can start having that budget to cut back. So maybe start having those planning meetings in those money dates to see where we can kind of cut back and look at where we're kind of overdoing it.
I guess the main thing here is that awareness is the first step, right? So
It
if
is.
you start to see where your money is going, I think maybe that might shock you into like, yeah, maybe I'm spending too much. We got to have some rules in place. Okay, interesting. And we're actually down to the final 12 step.
Yeah,
in
the
this
final one
12-step
is
strategy.
if that all those other strategies don't work,
No!
1 through 11 are not working, this is when you need to consider getting a third party involved. So a financial counselor, financial
Okay.
advisor,
Okay.
talking to maybe someone in your family who's good with money,
Okay.
because
Okay.
you can't let money destroy the relationship.
Sure.
There's ways that you
Sure.
can talk about it and have to find a happy medium. So if those 11 steps aren't doing it for you, then you need to raise the red flag and get someone in to kind of mediate.
I guess, in the case of if it's a couple where it's two spenders, yeah, it might
Yeah.
reach that stage, right? Even though
Yes.
they've tried their best, they've had all these rules. Okay, so it's to know exactly when you need help and get the help, and it's okay to get the help. I like this 12-step strategy, and we'll definitely, you can always refer back to it for our listeners tuning in on our Facebook Live. This will be the first slide that you will share at your very first monthly money dates.
Yes.
Okay, everyone? We carry on with more questions about it. So we've gone into personality types, the spender versus the saver in a relationship. Now, how should couples handle debt and discuss finances before walking down the aisle? Does it
Yeah.
mean there's no hope for those who are already married?
No.
Yes.
I think this is where you really set the precedent at the beginning of the relationship. And I think we kind of talked about this a bit last week. There are some, when I got married, we had a session away through our retreat where we talk about financial, and it's actually one of the most heated topics. You can see couples actually sitting there, and
Yes.
maybe they've been through the happiness of the dating, but then they get to actually talking about the dollars and cents. So this is a mind shift where I think at the beginning of your marriage, about to be married,
Yeah.
really think of it as start with transparency.
Okay.
Lay out all your debts clearly.
Ooh.
Don't hide anything, because I think you start with a relationship with secrets, then it will eventually come out. I think we all know this, that
That's
you really
true.
can't hide things from your partner.
That's true. That's true.
This one I really like is where consider a premarital financial agreement. So not a prenup, not a legal contract, just a written understanding, mutual understanding. And in this document, you could actually have, what debts remain personal, how future debts will be managed, liability boundaries,
Right.
how
right.
large expenses are decided, and what happens when one partner becomes jobless. So you kind of have a checklist of what's already there, so that you talk about this when things are happy, and then life gets a bit difficult, as we kind of all know. When the honeymoon wears off, you can go back and talk about this list, that the agreement you've made as a
okay.
couple. So I think that's always helpful too.
That's really, really good. Okay, we're going to jump back on air because we've got more questions. Things like household bills, pros and cons of a joint account versus separate accounts. Come and join us if you want to find out the answers on 1FM 91.3.
And that was another throwback on 1FM 91.3.
Hey everyone, our Facebook Live question is, are you a spender or a saver? These are the two key personalities we've identified when it comes to couples. And in your relationship, you can both be a mix. You can both be two spenders, two savers. If you're two savers, I mean, good for you. So answer that very simple question. Are you the spender or the saver in the relationship? And you might just walk away with $150 dining vouchers from the Crack House. So now we are diving more into, the common sort of like financial issues that a couple will have to deal with. Earlier on Facebook Live, we talked about how couples can actually discuss debt and also finances before walking down the aisle. So here we want to ask household bills, what's the norm in Singapore and what are other practices from other countries? Is there anything we can learn from the different practices?
So this one is very interesting. So there's three main categories
Okay.
of how households split bills.
Yep.
And the first one is proportionally splitting. So this is most common amongst dual income couples. This is a very popular method between millennials and Gen Zs.
Sure.
So each partner contributes a percentage of their salary into a joint account. So
Okay.
for example, partner A earns $7,000 a month.
Yep.
Partner B earns $4,000 a month.
Yep.
Each contributes 60%. So partner A gives 4,200 into the account.
Okay.
Partner B gives 2,400 account.
Okay. Okay.
So this is perceived as fair and reflects and it's really good because it reflects how unequal incomes, but it reduces resentment because you're putting in a fixed percentage amount into this account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Another option is equal split, very easy, 50-50. This is more popular with couples with similar incomes.
Yep.
And I think also middle income families and couples without kids. So same amount, simple, easy to plan, fair when it comes to 50-50 split for
Yep.
equal split.
Yep.
The last one is C, is kind of one pays the majority. So this is where more traditional families are, single income families. This is very still popular among the older Gen X
Right.
and sometimes new parents because the higher earner usually, in most cases, sometimes it could be the husband. In traditional setups, that's not the case anymore in today's world
Sure.
sometimes.
Sure.
So the higher earner would pay for the mortgage,
Sure.
utilities, insurance, the
Sure.
big ticket items.
Yep.
And then the partner handles the groceries, kids' day-to-day expenses, household essentials. So this kind of where the three sets are for, I guess, in Singapore. If you want to compare that to other countries,
Sure.
I kind of did some research of where. So in America, it's proportional, so it's very similar
Yep.
to where Singaporeans are split on a percentage basis.
Yep.
The UK, more of a 50-50 split. Couples do that. Australia is kind of more different. It's more, the majority is one shared account. Everything goes into there. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, that comes, so personal pocket money might come out of that account as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nordic countries like Sweden, Denmark, Norway are most always proportionate.
Okay.
Because they have a very egalitarian approach
Yep.
to things.
Yep.
Japan is very interesting because I think if you've got friends who are Japanese,
Sure.
I've had coworkers where the households are actually, the women are the finance managers.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I think there's a term for it, kozukai. Yes. So that means they are the manager of the money. Yeah. And then South Korea, also one partner, often the wife, is the one who controls the budget expenses.
Right. Right.
So I think more to relatable is more like I've heard the Peronikins families like this. The moms really are the the controller of the house purse. So they're the ones who are kind of running
in
the
a
household.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, in a way, like the husband brings back the bacon and
Yeah.
then hands it over, and then the wife just makes sure everything is settled. Would you say that's a great thing that we can pick up from from Japan, Korea?
That one is.
Quickly. We will address that as we head on over to Facebook Live. Come and join us. Alrighty, so we were just in the midst of, you mentioned, that is really fascinating. You would think that, I'm surprised to learn, we're talking about household bills, how is that settled for couples, not just in Singapore, but for other countries, right? And I was surprised to hear when you shared that in Japan, the woman, the wife actually manages the household expenses.
Yes.
It's something that you also see in Korea. I guess locally, maybe more in the past, with like traditional Peranakan families, the matriarch would handle it. I'm surprised because, I thought it was kind of like maybe the old value of like husband is the only earner, the sole earner, and then he just brings back and then he settles everything.
Yeah.
So is there anything we can learn from these different practices?
If find what works for you.
Yep.
In my household, I actually have my wife. She takes care of the bill paying every month.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
So that is because you just get the household might be, everyone has their different priorities. Maybe one's really busy, got looking after the kids. So always make sure whoever's looking after the money, you guys set some time aside at least once a month just to go through bills. Have you overspent? Have you underspent?
Sure.
But if it's the husband doing it, if it's the wife doing it, is
Sure.
their partner doing it, just make sure it's being done, because you really want to make sure that you're on top of everything.
Okay.
But works for what works best for your relationship. Don't have it
Right.
become a cause of a pain point. Yeah,
So
so-
the point is that, you're sharing all these different sort of ways is really for us to find what we think would work best in our situation.
Yes.
But then again, a lot of communication still has to be in
Yeah,
place, right?
agree.
So number 6, this one is a big one. When it comes to joint account versus separate accounts with your partner and spouse, what are the pros and cons?
So I know for the listeners, but I did make a pros and cons spreadsheet. So this is more just to have really to go through how joint bank accounts separate versus accounts joint versus separate, and pros and cons. So I will give some pros. So for joint accounts, when it comes to financial transparency, pros are it's completely visible
Okay.
for all
Okay.
spending income. I think for cons, there's zero privacy for personal purchases. So I was telling my wife, if you're sitting there and having, if you're on a diet and you're cheating, your partner, if you have a joint account, can see if you're spending a little bit of money at, at the cafe on things like that. So that's one con. Around for joint accounts, budgeting planning.
Okay.
Pro is it simplifies budgeting. Everything is one place.
Yep, yep.
Con, it's harder to get individual spending limits.
Okay, because that kind of just gets mixed up with everything
It does.
else.
Just gets
Okay.
mixed up. For financial goals in a
Yep.
joint account, pros, it unifies your saving goals for your
Okay.
house, your vacations.
Okay.
It automatically pools your resources. So you're
Yep.
going to get higher interest in your bank account because
Yep.
you've got a bigger pool of money. Cons, potential conflicts over priorities, and complicated divorce and separation. That's where it
yeah.
gets a bit messy.
I remember from your pop quiz, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a joint account.
It's a joint account.
Both
So they
have access to
So if
everything
you have
inside.
if you have an angry spouse and doesn't end well, they can clear you out very quickly in a joint account. Yes.
Okay.
Pros for
more
for
points.
daily conveniences. So for pros for joint accounts, it's easy to pay bills, so either person can pay.
Okay.
Cons, risk of overdraft from both parties because you might not know what the other person has spent on that day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And finally, financial security. So pros, backup access if one person is incapacitated. So if there's an accident or something that happens, or
Yes.
if one passes away, they have
Sure.
access to the money. The cons, it's higher risk that each exposes to each other's debts. So that's where you need to really balance that one when it comes to financial security.
Okay, and the best way to balance it is you should have you always advocated joint and also a separate account.
Yeah, the
right?
hybrid method.
Right, and also understand what the joint account is for. You can't
Exactly.
just have the account
Yeah.
and then hope it works out. Okay.
Yeah, be very clear on your specifics, that it's for household bills, if it's for paying your mortgage.
Okay.
If it's not a savings account and it starts to dwindle, then that's where you need to have that conversation with your partner.
But just to add on to this whole point of joint versus separate accounts, is it then safer? You keep your savings in particular separate and only share a small joint account?
For financial planning, if you're doing it that way, that is fine. But I still think when you have a separate account, you need to bring that to the party of how much you're actually saving per month, so there's no surprises. So I think from perspectives in Singapore, checking what your CPF savings are, it's very easy. With you go to the website. I think it gets a bit more complicated because let's say you wanted to, save a bunch of money for retirement.
Yeah.
You need to have those check-in points, because if you get off track, you really need to be open and honest about not bluffing about what's in your account.
Yeah.
So maybe just give a rough guide of what you've been saving so that your partner has that confidence that you actually do have money saved up and you're meeting your goals.
Right. It brings to light, I believe it was point 6 of your 12-step strategy. Use tech
Use tech.
to bring the facts
Yep.
to the forefront so that nobody can deny things,
Exactly.
especially in this case. Sila,
Very good.
student. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
very good listener.
And also, it begs the next question, which is, I believe, the last step in the 12-step strategy for couples, bringing in a third party, that neutral third party, right? When to seek professional help. What is, some of the signs that for a couple, due to financial disagreements, we need to bring in a third party, be it, like you mentioned, a financial advisor or a counselor?
Yeah. You need to get professional help when there's always arguments around, there's constant fighting. So you're never able to agree on, it just escalates. Not productive conversations. When the erosion of trust happens, so there's dishonesty, there's no security about your finances.
Sure.
Sometimes a partner might find out you have a hidden bank account. That
Oui.
always could lead to something where that kind of trust kind of loses. I think feeling excluded and controlled. So one partner feels that they have no financial say in the decisions.
Sure.
And the other one is being controlling of the money. So that's where you probably need to have a third party.
Okay.
When there's high levels of relationship strain,
Oui.
as in money-related disagreements are the constant source of tension and negativity. And when you not have that ability to actually agree on your goals, where you're completely off base. One person wants to save a certain amount of money, another person is way below that money.
Okay.
You really need to have that. So when the communication breaks down, start having a third party come in and kind of give some advice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that is really interesting. I feel like as you are taking us through that, there's a little bit of another, well, not money personality, but I feel like there's another form of personality. Are you a follower or a leader when it comes to the money issues as well? I think that's also quite... because I think for me, like I rely on my husband, who's definitely more financial literate.
Yep.
So I'm a little bit of a follower.
Okay.
But I guess that kind of works, you know what I mean? Because I trust in him and he does know his stuff. So I just happily follow.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're going to do this. What do you think? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. The next few questions, we have something from, the next few questions are specifically to elaborate more and help us understand better about this whole idea of joint accounts, I would say. For example, if my partner withdraws all the money from the joint account, right?
Yep.
Can the bank actually stop them?
Technically, no. But banks are allowed to block. They're not allowed to block unless there's a few things. So one, that there's a court order.
Okay.
The bank detects fraud, forgery, or criminal activity, or you have submitted a formal dispute notice to request the account to be frozen.
Wow.
So maybe this might happen around a nasty divorce.
We're going to elaborate more of that
Yeah.
on air. We'll recap this question again. Hey, Lover Girl with Tina Marie right here on The Morning Drive. Really great discussion today. It's a hot topic and one that we really want to go into a little bit more because, every couple has had to talk money and should talk money at some point in the relationship. So the next few questions do specifically address and help us better understand the whole idea of a joint account, I would say. And on Facebook Live, we asked the first one, which is, if my partner withdraws all the money, can the bank stop them? And you said technically no, right? Technically no, but there are some circumstances, right? Could you refresh us again on that?
Yeah, so it's no if you are on either to sign. So that's the most common bank account. So that's where you kind of have that joint alternate. So the bank is not allowed to block the account unless there is a court order.
Okay.
There is the bank detects fraud, forgery, criminal activity.
Okay.
Or you have submitted a formal dispute notice request for the account to be frozen. So this is where you're giving a heads up to the bank. We're going through a divorce. We need the money to be saved, to split through our divorce lawyer, whatever.
Okay.
If it's a business dispute with your business partner, that's where you can.
Okay.
So this is where you actually want security and peace of mind. So you need to, if you have this either to sign, you need to switch your joint account to a both sign. So that allows the only withdrawals to be done when both signatures are given to the bank in order for that money to be taken out. So that's probably the safe way to avoid any of this kind of disputes down the road.
Right. Okay. So I think I can see why now there's really a need to understand the different types of joint account. Don't take all that for granted.
Don't take for granted.
If I earn more, should I contribute more to the joint account? Say no.
I think from more of a personal level, it's up to you. I mean, it's really a personal decision. If you feel that you're on a good track plan and you're contributing, if you're in that model where you're proportionally contributing your 60%, and then you're getting a raise, but maybe your partner or spouse hasn't got a raise, maybe you'll add more just because you've got more earning power. Or maybe if you're on an equal split, you throw in some. It's really a personal decision.
Right.
It's having that conversation around your money dates to really see where you can contribute more or less. But I think it's not a bad thing to save a bit more if you have a bit more income than being more, well, I've got more money, I'm going to go out and buy more fancy things while my partner doesn't have the spending power. It could cause a bit of, a bit
resentment,
of resentment, a bit of tension.
Or maybe the better way to see is that if you are able to contribute more, have that be of use. You know what I mean? Like you said, savings. Do we want to put that extra bit towards investing? So I guess that kind of said, joint account affect my ability to buy an HDB or even get a loan?
The question for that one is generally no. So I say that because banks look at your income, your debt obligations, credit score, CPF usage. So joint bank accounts do not affect how it's going to affect your HDB purchase. So what it really comes down to is proof of funds for down payment, showing your savings and your stability, documenting during the mortgage application. So your ownership of assets, not your bank account structure, affects the approvals.
But would you say that, your joint account, you should also consider that the deposit can come from your joint account?
There's some practices where if you want one couple to actually be the payment of the mortgage from their individual account, and then that way it's really segregated at the beginning of the relationship, and that might be because that person has either more spending power, more income, and then that is coming out of the account. So that's one way to do things. But hybrid method is probably the best. So really talk about that planning with your spouse, your partner, on how, and this is where that kind of pre-marriageal, if you're not married yet, have that conversation and really lay out that plan is very important. And if you're a couple already, is really having that plan and talking over your money dates.
Right. You know what? I want to thank you for actually laying this out, with that 12-step strategy. Remember, guys, if for you tuning in on air, you wouldn't have a chance to see that, really the slides that Matt has put together, please do check up our Facebook Live video. It's going to be on our Facebook Live and also on our YouTube. You need to see that 12-step strategy for couples. It's great even if you haven't had those conversations before you got married. You really need to look at it, and you can start with quite a few of those steps today even. Matt, I really cannot thank you enough for what you've brought to the table here today for today's episode.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Lavinia.
And remember, if you have any questions, you can find him on his Instagram, which is at Matthew A.
Nixon.
Yes, Matthew A. Nixon. Find him on Instagram. Get in touch with him. And once again, we'll see you every Wednesday at 8 a.m. So thank you so much, Matt, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Good times. Great